and welcome back for this week's movement lesson. Today we are learning about speed in relation to movement, but we're also looking at the Native Americans or Indians, 3 different tribes, how they were sheltered, what they ate, and how they lived. And now for our warm-up. If you are sitting on the floor, you will stand quietly where you are. If you are at your desk, you will stand quietly behind your chair. Everyone, please stand quietly where you are. Now for our warm-up, remember, I say, "Hello, class," and you say, "Hello, Miss Kelsey." My turn first, then your turn. Hello, class. Hello, class. Hello, class. Hello, class. Hello, class. Hello, class. Great. Now we're going to review our levels very quickly. Remember, there are 3. High, middle, low. Our 3 levels. So when I say go, I want everyone to make a high shape. It can be any kind of shape you like. Fantastic or straight, angled, curved, twisted. It's up to you. We're going to make a high shape. Now, do shapes move? No, shapes are still, frozen, and they don't make any sounds. Everyone stand tall. That means you have your arms by your side and your feet together like this. Now go ahead and make a high shape. Go. Great high shape. Mine looks like this. Stand tall. Now we're going to make a middle shape. So that's a little lower, not on the floor. Here we go. Middle shape. Stand tall. And now for a low shape with no sound. Go ahead and make your low shape. Stand tall. Great job. I'm going to snap 3 times now, and I want to see in order a high, middle, and a low shape. Stand tall so I know you're ready. Here we go. High shape. Middle shape. Don't move. Low shape. And stand tall. Fabulous job. Now we're talking about what we did last week. We talked about emotions and feelings and how we can use those in movement. So let's look at our locomotor movement with emotions. Remember how to move safely around the classroom. Let's review. Should you be really close to this chair? No. Should you be right next to this wall? No. Should you be on top of furniture? No. Should you be this close to your neighbor? No. You want to be in an open space where you can move your arms freely. Are you there? want you to tiptoe like you're scared. Now I want you to tiptoe like you're bored. Now we're going to slide, remember that's on 2 feet, using the angry emotion. Here we go. Great. Now let's slide using the maybe tired. Now I'm going to give you a few seconds to slowly walk back to your spot, either behind your chair or in your spot on the carpet. So get to that spot in 5, we're walking, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stand tall so I know you're ready to move on. Great job. Today we're learning about speed. Speed. We can use speed in movement to add dynamics or make it more exciting or interesting. So there are 3 speeds we're looking at today. The first one is slow. Then we have a normal speed, which is the speed you might normally exist at, right? You're moving at a normal speed. Or maybe some of you exist at a very fast speed all of the time, which makes things very exciting. So let's go ahead and look at some non-locomotor movement using speed. Let's go ahead and bounce real slow. I'm just bending my knees or bouncing slowly. Now let's try to bounce our shoulders at a normal speed. So it's a little quicker, but not too fast. We're just bouncing our shoulders at a normal or regular speed. Very nice. Now let's bounce our head at a fast speed. Go. Freeze. Whew. That was a lot. Fabulous. Let's try another. How about wiggles? Let's wiggle our fingers at a slow speed. They are wiggling, just slowly wiggling. Arms by your side. Now let's wiggle our knees at a normal speed. Kind of looks like this, like a little dance. We're just wiggling at a normal speed. Now, let's wiggle our tummy at a very fast speed. Ready, go. Stand tall. Very good. We're going to think of one more our non-locomotor movement to examine speed. Do you have one? That's great. We could jump at different speeds. Now, slow jumping is a little difficult, but we can do it. Take a slow jump. Great. Kind of challenging. You're doing great. Let's jump at a regular speed 3 times. Go. 1, 2, and 3. Fabulous. Let's jump at a quick speed 5 times. Go. Freeze. Great job. Now you'll see in a moment how we might use speed when we're doing movement. So we're looking at 3 different Native American or Indian tribes. The first one we're looking at is the Lakota Sioux. Now the Lakota Sioux Indians lived in the Great Plains. So what do you think it looked like in the Great Plains? Well, kind of like it says, it was a little plain. It was mostly flat, right? Not a whole lot of mountains or trees going on, but they are there in the plains. And they're there because that's where the buffalo are, and they hunt buffalo. So, the Lakota Sioux Indians train young boys how to hunt these buffalo. Now, the buffalo are very large, so are they moving slow, do you think? No, definitely not. They gallop at a very quick speed. Let's take a look at galloping. Put your hands on your hips like this. And when I gallop, I'm putting one foot in front, and then I scoop my leg behind to meet the other, like this. This is galloping. With one foot in front, I'm galloping. But the buffalo were very quick, so they galloped like this. Really fast. And then the Indians hunted them on horses. Horses also gallop, right? They're also galloping at a very quick speed. Now, to follow these buffalo, the Lakota Sioux Indians moved around. They roamed around the Great Plains. Now, when you hear roam, you might roam slowly, right? So they have to pack up all of their things, and they carry these things with them on their horses or in their arms, and they kind of roam around. So I want you to show me what that looks like. If you're roaming, you might move at a slower speed. Very good. Now, because they moved around, they lived in teepees, right? A lot of you know what a teepee is. It's kind of a triangle shape. So make your body like a teepee. It's a shape like this, right? And then they would just roll it up, and they would carry them when they moved twice a year to follow the buffalo. They roamed around slowly. And then they were able to use the buffalo for food, to make their teepees, for clothes, but they also made drums. They would stretch the hide, and then they would have a drum, right? So they could drum like this. They might drum slowly, one arm at a time, maybe a little quicker. Or maybe they were drumming really fast. Very nice. Now I want to put some of those movements together together so we can kind of understand a little better what it was like as a Lakota Sioux Indian. So remember, they roam around carrying their teepees and their clothes and all of the things they need. They just roam. And then when they get to a place where they might see some buffalo, they set up those teepees. Very good. And then they need to hunt the buffalo. So the buffalo and the horses are galloping quickly. Can you gallop quickly? Very nice. And to kill those buffalo, they threw arrows, or they had a bow and arrow, right? So they pulled it back slowly like this, and they let it go, right? Pull again slowly, and let go. Or if they're throwing spears, that happened at a very quick speed. So hold your big spear like this, and you see a buffalo, and you throw it quickly. Try it again. And throw quickly. Right. And then with the buffalo hide, they played drums. Let's play slowly first. At a regular speed. Now play at a very fast speed. Great job. Let's go ahead and move through the movements of a Lakota Sioux Indian so we have a better understanding with no sounds. The next tribe we are looking at is the Winnebago Indians. They live near the coast, so there was a lot more going on in the landscape. There were forests, right, with lots of trees and green, lush space. And because they were near the coast, there was water, right? This allowed them to grow their own crops, like on farms that we talked about last week. So they're growing their own crops, which is unlike Lakota Sioux Indians who are only hunting for their food. So let's take a look. They lived in forests, right? So we have some trees, right? Make your tree shapes. They lived near the coast, so there was water. I'm going to kind of move slowly like water. Great. Or maybe you could be slow waves. Very good. Maybe there are some faster waves. Go ahead and do some fast waves. And all of this water allowed them to grow the crops. So they're growing just like last week. They're sprouting up really slowly, like this. And maybe they're growing corn or potatoes, right? Now, because they're close to water, they are also able to fish. What do you look like when you're fishing? Their fishing poles were probably a little bit different than ours now, but still the same idea. A long stick and some kind of fiber or string attached to it, and then something sharp, maybe, or they caught them with their hands. Do you think you would be slow or quick if you were trying to catch a fish with your hands? You'd have to be pretty quick because fish move so fast. So let's try. You have to be really plenty to celebrate, like catching a fish with your hands. That's cause for celebration. Also, growing crops, right? When all the crops were ready to be harvested in the fall or autumn, that was for celebration. What do you do to celebrate? Yeah, you might do some fist pumps. You might do a little dancing. Great, right? They celebrated and they danced to celebrate. All kinds of things. Also, unlike the Lakota Sioux Indians, they did not move. They stayed in one place because they had water for the crops, they had fish to eat. There was no reason to move. They weren't chasing their food like the Lakota Sioux Indians. So they had something more like a house, like you have now. But it was a dome shape, like this. Go ahead and make your dome-shaped house. Very good. So they're staying in one place. They're not roaming around. They're in a house. Remember, they have forest. They have the ocean with waves. They're catching fish. They're celebrating in their dome-shaped houses. We're going to do all of those movements again so we can really understand what it was like to be a Wampanoag Indian. Great job. The last tribe we're looking at today can be pronounced Lenape or Lenape. I'm going to say Lenape. So the Lenape Indians also did not move, and they also lived near the northeast part of the country. They lived in long houses that were called wigwams. Kind of a fun word. Say wigwam. Good. And they really used the 4 seasons that we talked about last week. In the spring, they planted the crops, right? So they are maybe digging. They probably dug kind of slowly. So let's dig slowly. And they planted their crops, so they're putting the seeds in. And then those crops grow fast or slow? Yeah, they grow slowly, so let's grow slowly. Very good. Now they also hunted like the Lakota Sioux Indians. They hunted deer and elk, also on horseback. So they galloped quickly. And they had bows and arrows. And all of that happened in the springtime. So a lot going on in the spring. We're planting crops. They're growing. And we're hunting on horseback. Remember, horses gallop just like buffalo. And deer also run very quickly. Deer and elk are very agile animals. And they use their bow and arrows. Very good. So spring, we're getting all of that food ready. Now in the summer, because they were also close to water, they were able to fish. Do you think they catch them by hand? Maybe so. Really still. pretend you have a basket and you're collecting berries. You might do this at a normal speed. Maybe the berries are on a low bush. Another thing they did was collect wood, firewood, for fires later on in the year. So maybe they're chopping down trees. And then they have to collect that wood. Great. And then the fall happened, and all of the crops were then ready to harvest. Remember how the Winnebago Indians celebrated? Maybe the Lenape Indians celebrated their harvest as well. Who knows? So they have to store this harvest, right? So they're maybe cutting down these crops and storing them. So maybe they're shucking corn to store away. Maybe they're just piling things up. They're getting all of this harvested food ready for the winter time. They're also preparing their wigwams because where they live it gets really cold in the winter time. So maybe they're adding some things to their homes to make it warmer. They want to be nice and cozy in their wigwam, so they have to add things to their home to keep it nice and warm, just like we have blankets or rugs or things that we use to make it warmer in the house. And then in the winter time, they really get cozy and they stay inside. While they're inside, they're doing things like telling stories, right? Or snuggling up with a blanket. So let's go ahead and move through the seasons, just like the Lenape Indians with movement. We start in the spring, planting crops, digging, putting the seeds in, and then they grow slowly. Very good. They're also hunting. And then in the summertime, we are fishing. Collecting berries, collecting firewood, and then in the fall we're getting ready and storing the harvest. We're storing all of that food, maybe shucking corn. And we're also preparing the wigwam for the cold winter, right? We have to put more things on our house to stay warm. And in the winter time, we're just cozy, telling stories, and relaxing in the wigwam. Let's go ahead and move through that with just movement. Today, we looked at the movement concept of speed and how that can make your movement more interesting or more dynamic. And then we looked at speed while talking about the Lakota Sioux Indians, the Wampanoag Indians, and the Lenape Indians, and how these tribes are similar or the same and different. So let's go ahead and do our cool down with 3 deep breaths with the arms, in through your nose, out through your mouth. 2 more breaths. And 1 more. Cross your arms. Show your teacher you are ready to listen.